live! Facebook Live. Sorry. She already yelled at me. The producer already yelled at me for slamming down on that cutting board. It's a great start. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for chiming in, tuning in, checking it out. I am The Grateful Chef. This is The Grateful Chef with Eric Eisenbud. Welcome to my kitchen. And we have another great episode, another show of amazing and succulent dishes cooked by me, also known in some circles as Mr. Succulent, but that's a whole nother story I'm not even going to tell you. And tonight, you know, I was thinking about the recipe, the main recipe. I'm doing some side dishes. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. You know, we'll do them together because that's what this show is all about, cooking together. So I was thinking about the recipes. You know, there's some recipes you can do physically challenging, you know, like they're hard or technical and stuff like that. And then there's some recipes that are mentally challenging, and this is mentally challenging, and I'm going to tell you why. Because, two things. Why, or how can I wrap my mind around using 5 pounds of salt in one recipe? It's a lot. So it's like 2.5 of these boxes. This is the one I use because the blue box is a little bit coarser, and you'll oversalt your food if you use the blue box. Use the red box stuff, kosher salt, all the time. But how can I wrap my mind around that this 5 pounds of salt is going in one recipe? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, how do I wrap my mind around that I possibly may need a hammer to complete the recipe? You're going to find out what I'm talking about in a little bit. I probably will need the hammer. I'm going to try not to, but just in case, I got it right here in my drawer. So we are doing tonight a salt encrusted, dry aged ribeye. Looks beautiful. We're going to crust it in salt. It's going to bake in the oven. Create like, it's basically you're building an oven out of salt. It's an old technique. It's not something that's new. It's not used very often, but it would be just like cooking it in a clay oven. You basically seal it up. It cooks. None of the juices or flavors leave. It all stays in there. And I have never done a dry aged roast. I've done fish. I've done salt baked pears, which are amazing. You just bury them, and they bake in there. And you know, I'll dispel the myth that things are going to be salty. They're not going to be salty. They don't soak up the salt. Like I said, in the first 15 minutes or so of the cooking, that salt becomes like rock hard crust, and it's not salting your food. You will brush it off. You'll get a little bit of flavor. And I see that Lynn is raising her. I've got some hellos for you.
You've got your lots of hellos and a question.
Oh, already?
So
good.
We've got Chris Howard with us.
Hello, Chris.
Nino, Mike Samolsky. Hey,
El
Mike,
Nino.
from Texas. We've got Mark Foster. He's like, hey, looking forward to this. Jason Gio.
All people that know about dry aged beef. Anyway.
Yes. And Jason's asking if you trimmed the pellicle off first.
I certainly did. So pellicle is a technical term. With dry aged beef, when you dry age it, creates a crust. You just want to cut it off down to the soft meat. So here we've got it's soft. Any of the hard bits you just want to cut off, and I make beef stock out of it. Anyway, so yeah, so this one is a 45-day dry aged ribeye. And it's got some nice fat on it. I think it's going to work well. Actually, I don't know if it's going to work well. I've never done a dry aged roast in a salt bake. I've done a regular one, worked great. But as you know, there's less moisture in this, so this could be an epic fail. And you're coming along on the ride. Hey, that's
got some more folks with us. You've got Ted. I'm really sorry I never pronounced your last name.
What's up, Ted?
Correctly?
We spoke to him. I spoke to him earlier.
Yeah, so Joe's with us tonight. He goes, this is foolproof for ribeye technique. Also works for whole fish.
Joe from Southern Coastal Cooking. Welcome, Joe.
And ice cream.
And ice cream?
Baked Alaska. And I said, you can bake ice cream in the salt crust, and it's an insulator.
See?
The ice cream does not melt.
Wow.
In the oven.
See, I learned something. That's what this is all about, so I can learn from you.
So it can be sweet.
That is our friend Sherry, who is here in our, we'll call it studio audience. It's awesome. Thanks,
we have
Sherry.
a lovely studio audience.
We do. All first timers here in the Grateful Chef kitchen.
And here, a magic, whatever.
Awesome.
We have Mark and Sherry.
And Chris. A different Chris.
Cheers.
Not the same Chris
Cheers.
you've seen week after week. All right.
At the beginning. Oh, a couple more.
Enough.
Sorry guys, I knocked you over. And Dave Lagacia, he's also here.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
And Joe says, very cool ice cream tip.
Nice. All right. We're going to get right to it, as always. So, where's my tray? I need a tray. So basically, and I'm probably not going to use all this because I have some left over from the one I already put in the oven. So you guys can suffer while watching us eat it. They love that. So I'm going to wear gloves because it is kind of a mess. And basically what you're doing is you're going to take the salt. And the recipe, this is a 7-pounder. For 6 or 7 pounds, you need 5 pounds. But I'm going to use a little bit less. But you do need a lot. So we're going to start with that much. All right. And to it, I am adding 2 cups of, actually, calls for 2 cups. I went with 3, it got a little wet, so I'm just going to use the 2 cups, and if I need to add some, so you basically want the consistency of sand. The other thing that I'm going to add is some egg whites. So this is 5 egg whites, I'm not going to add them all. You just got to reserve some, so, and kind of cook by feel. That's what we do, you know. We see if we need more, we taste and see if we need more salt, less salt, more seasoning, you know, more sweetness, whatever. So you're basically making a wet sand out of this salt. And if it'll seem like it's a little too dry, that's kind of what you want. You don't want it so wet that it's saturated.
How do you know you have enough moisture in it?
When it'll kind of stick together. I may have to add some. If you're doing small stuff, it certainly can be pretty dry. Like I wouldn't do the egg whites if I was doing the salt baked pears. Do it in a higher rim dish, you know, and then just fill it with salt and just like bury the pears in there. But something that's got tall sides and stuff like this, gravity works against you on something big like this. So you can see it's like sand. It is sticking together when I squeeze it. You know, Sherry's got like all these visions of being at the beach right now. White sandy beaches.
Dave Lester's with us. We also have Michael Sokolowski.
Yeah.
More questions from Jason. I'll come back to in a minute.
Awesome.
James
Yeah, so
Bratek.
this is looking pretty good. I don't think I'm going to add any more water.
We've got John Cragen, Jay Judge,
What's up, John, Jay, my buddies, all my regulars.
and Gary Knack.
Yeah, Johnny Cragen.
Yeah.
All right.
So Jason's question is back to the pellicle.
Yep.
So is it hard to trim the pellicle off when it's full?
It is much harder to trim the pellicle off of a whole roast than it is. You just got to take your time. It took me a while. You know, I tried different knives. You know, I found like a bigger knife was easier, and you just got to chip away at it. So yeah, it's definitely was more challenging than doing an individual steak. All right, so this is pretty ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of it and I'm going to put it in my tray, and I basically just want to make a nice triangle. You know, it's kind of it feels kind of funny because I got the egg whites in there, but those egg whites are key because they're really going to help make it you know, harden when it's in the oven. All right, so you want to make it obviously bigger than the roast itself. And I'm going to put the roast right on there. Oh, I see a hole. You just want to cover them up. Make sure you got about a quarter inch, quarter to a half inch. Putting it on here. So you know what you're going to do. You're going to build on what you've got in the tray.
I'm gonna bring this in close to you.
Please
as you're
do.
doing that. I did a second ago, but it landed in the lower corner.
So when I find it easy, I found it easier to like start at the top, let gravity work with you. And like I said, it does not need to be super thick, but you do need to cover every part of it. So I'm just patting it on. And what you want to do is eventually you want what's down here to meet what's on the bottom on the tray, and then kind of connect them. The sides, same thing. So start building up from the bottom, build it around. And it's pretty forgiving. It's kind of like clay. And if you run out of the salt mixture, you just quickly make some more. I think I've got plenty. And what you can do is you can also just push what's on the tray, push it in to kind of give yourself a little base to work with. So you can see I'm pushing it up the side. Pretty cool.
And Doreen's with us tonight,
And it's
so
fun.
is Jay Tepper.
Hello, Doreen and Jay Tepper. Big BMW guy, that Jay Tepper, Chris. like he races. It's pretty cool. All right, so I think you guys are getting the idea. Just want to make sure that there's no holes. Let me not forget about this end. And again, it's just like clay. It's really super easy to do. Something that's really good doing with this method is a whole fish. Absolutely amazing. It kind of steams in its own little clay oven. Super tender, super juicy. Keeps all the nice flavor. All right, and that's pretty much what you're looking for.
Sean Heights said he did this with tenderloin, and it was amazing.
Awesome.
And
it was not super salty.
yeah, and we have some folks. Hi, Lisa. She's listening and wondering what's with all the salt.
All right.
So if you could give a quick update
All right, real
on what
quick.
you're doing.
So this method is called salt baking. So basically, you're making a mixture of salt with some water and some egg whites, and then you're covering the protein or whatever that you want to cook. And when you cook it in the oven, this becomes a hardened, almost like a clay oven. And so whatever you're cooking cooks inside this clay oven. And it's pretty cool. You know, there's a lot of wow factor in it too. So you come out to your table with a platter with with salt, and sometimes you can shape it, like you would make a sandcastle kind of thing. And then, crack it open or take it off and uncover it. People love that. It's like a little showmanship at your next dinner party, right? So this is ready, nothing else I need to do. So what I do is I'll put this in, my oven was at 400 degrees. You want it really high for about 15 minutes. Put it in 15 minutes, it'll harden the crust. And then after 15 minutes, I turned it down to 325, and then I turned it even down to 300 and let it finish. The inside, because this is a dry aged roast, I shot for 118 degrees because dry aged meat cooks quicker than regular beef. So you want to monitor that. And I bring it to 118. Because this will hold in a lot of heat, you let it rest, but it'll still cook. So it'll go up, it went up to like 100 and, I think I saw 127 or 130 degrees as it was cooling. So you got to keep that in mind. So I'm going to put this aside because I already have one in the oven. And anyone have any questions about what we just did? Because I'd be happy to answer them. Any?
No questions, but we also have Jamie Parisi and Ephraim and Justice.
Hello, Ephraim. Justice. Great book, brother. Awesome. So happy that I got it. Lynn has it right here. It goes with me wherever I go. Get this book. It'll unlock all the power of your sous vide machine. Mastering the Art of Sous Vide Cooking.
Can I get
Justice
it on
Store.
Amazon?
You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it at Barnes & Noble.
All
Next
the top
time you're at the
booksellers.
mall. It's
Excellent.
awesome. Really good. Really fun book. All right. We're going to move on to our sides. 2 sides today. We are doing a pan-seared button mushroom, sauteed. Awesome. Really easy to do. A little technique that I'll show you to make sure you get the result we want. And we are also doing some Spanish-style potatoes. We'll get to that after we do the mushrooms.
Do you want to talk about your Meeson knife for a moment? That's from Chris Howard. And
Chris Howard?
We also
Yeah,
have
I was talking about that,
Todd
I think, this
Eisenbud
week.
with us.
Hello, Todd, my bro. Got to get you down here for the studio audience, my man. So people have been asking me about my knives, my pans. So again, I'm not endorsed by any of the companies or any of the things I talk about yet. And happy to be, but as of right now, this is just my personal opinions, my likes and my dislikes. So this was a Kickstarter campaign. It's the Meeson, M-I-S-E-N. Their website is meeson.co, not .com, .co, C-O.
Coming in close.
This was on Kickstarter. This is a $65 knife, and it is really, it's my daily go-to. Great balance. It's got a full tang. It retains the edge really well. It's very light, so if you're doing like a lot of fast chopping, or like I use my knife all the time, this is a great, it's got a lifetime sharpening if you want to send it to them. I know the holidays they were as low as $57, I think, or $52. They also came out with some saute pans. I just ordered the triple set of the non-stick pans, so I'm really looking forward to getting those. But really solid company, great to work with, and their products are top notch. So my recommendation. All right, you want to follow me over to the stove?
I do.
Fantastic. Let's do this. All right. Mushrooms.
I'm not there yet.
Okay. Here she comes. Because I still am not allowed to touch the camera.
Well, that's because you run away with it.
And I don't know where it's aiming because she's got the thing. All right, so at the trusty stove, I'm going to put some flame underneath this. There we go. Nice medium flame. So let me go over some of the ingredients. These are regular, standard white button mushrooms. I took the caps off. I brushed off the, I don't know if they still grow them in manure or whatever they grow them in. Hopefully not.
The dirt.
The dirt. So yeah, I just took the stem off. There's not really much you need to do. For this recipe, we're going to want to sit them capside down in the pan. So you want kind of nice ones. I'm going to put the olive oil in the pan. And I'm using a big pan because I want to be able to fit all the mushrooms. This is not the greatest olive oil dispenser here, but it's okay. It's all good. Work with what you got. All right. So I'm basically covering the bottom of the pan.
Eric, I have a question about your knife.
Yes.
Is it German, Japanese? Did you say that?
It is. I don't know. I know that it's not either one of those.
Okay.
I mean, it may be made in, Sweden or China for all I know. I really don't know.
What was the brand?
It's Meeson, M-I-S-E-N. So it's been designed here. They may have them made somewhere that has absolutely nothing to do with the knife itself.
So if I Google it, I can find it though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice because both he and I like it. So for me,
Yes.
I don't like the heavier knives, so he's
Okay.
got a bunch of Japanese ones. Before you keep moving,
Yes.
I missed a bunch of guys on Grateful Chef, so sorry guys. Can you leave the thermometer in when you put the salt?
Yes, I used a remote thermometer when I cooked the one we're going to eat tonight. Just put it in there. Just stick it through the salt. It's not a problem. Or you can do an instant read as you go along. But you really have to jab it through the crust because it's very, very hard.
What kind of olive oil do you use?
I actually am using Costco.
Yeah,
It's a good deal.
This is the Whole Foods, isn't it? $3.65.
Yeah, but I think I filled it with the Costco.
Oh.
Keep the bottle.
All right, and then Ephraim said he got here late, and so did Jamie, and they asked if you seasoned the salt.
I did not season the salt. However, you could grind up a bunch of herbs, put it in the salt, and it will pick up some of the herb flavor from it. I just chose not to today, but you certainly can do that. Definitely. All right, so I'm getting my oil nice and hot. So what I want to do is I want to take these mushrooms and I want to just put them down, capside down in the pan. Because what we want to do is, and this is that technique I was talking about, you do not want to move these. You want to sit them in on the cap, just like this.
Yeah. Pull this back a bit.
Yes. Got my head chopped off.
Nope, but your mushrooms weren't in the picture.
All right. So I'm just lining them up.
And we also have Chris and Caesar with us.
Hey, what's up, C's? Chris Sikorsky?
Yes.
Ah,
Mr. Sikorsky is
Mr.
with us.
Sikorsky. All right. So here we go. We got the mushrooms in here. And, like I said, I want you to avoid every temptation that you have right now to shake this pan, to move it, to saute. It is a saute pan, but you don't have to saute like the whole time you're using it. Because the idea here is we're going to get a nice caramelization on the bottom, on the cap. If you start to move it around too much, the water's going to come out of the mushrooms, you're going to get steam, and it's not going to work. So you really want to wait until these mushroom caps are caramelized. Once they are caramelized, yes?
I was like, keep going.
Okay, once they're caramelized, we will toss them around and continue to cook them. We're going to add a little bit of butter. We're going to add some herbs. I've got some garlic. We're not adding the garlic at the beginning because we don't want it to burn. So we're going to let these mushrooms get nice and brown. I'm just making sure that the oil's getting all over them. You can hear the sizzle. I got it on medium-high right now, popping. One of the things I call this recipe are squeaky mushrooms, because you'll see in a little while, they get to a point where as I move them around, they make this like squeaky noise when they hit the pan. It's pretty cool. We're going to add white wine, lemon juice, parsley. Yes, Lynn?
We have James Braytek with us.
James Braddock?
Yes, with his 11-year-old son, Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
And
thanks for checking in.
He's getting them interested in the culinary arts.
Nice. That is awesome. That is awesome. Fantastic. So I'm going to check these out. They're not getting there yet, but they're getting there. So right now, you know, mushrooms leach out a lot of water. Right now they're not, because you're not doing it on like a cut side or the underside of it. You're doing it on the top. So that's almost like a sort of a skin on top, so it kind of keeps the moisture in there. And you'll see there's nothing in this pan except for olive oil and mushrooms. And you have to watch out. I'll give you the heads up now. Once these are caramelized and ready to shake around, when you do, there's most likely going to flare up in the pan. So just be ready for that, for the flame. Yes, requires a little bit more hood.
It does smell good in here.
It does. It's my job to make it smell good in here. All right. So when these guys are caramelized, which they will be very shortly, I've got the heat up medium-high. And if you're cooking less of them, it'll happen quicker. But here, let me show you. You can see. Maybe I pick one up without burning. You can see you're starting to get some nice browning on there. Keep going. And this is the same technique I told you when we made those the pan-seared scallops, the first show we did. Avoid the temptation. You're not burning them, I promise you. I absolutely promise you these are not burning. Just keep at it. They're a nice little brown. If you want to add a little bit more oil, you can, but I don't feel it's necessary.
And Nino says, hey guys, and Chris Howard asked if you can get a paprika axe chair on this recipe.
Yes, I do have this recipe on paprika. We should come up with a list of people that have it at an email list so we can email recipes back and forth. That's a great idea. I want to show one thing before we go on. I don't know if you can see inside, but you can see that the water is starting to collect inside. And that is why you get a flame once you shake these, because that water hits the oil in the pan and, you know, voila, you get fire. All right. These are very nice.
Can you post your paprika link on your page, or does that work?
I
In your group?
can. What I can do is I can cut and paste the recipe. If I go to like an email it, I can cut and paste it. But yeah, I encourage people to get the Paprika app. It's really awesome, easy to use. I've got over 500 recipes in there. You share them real quick. You can scale them up and down. You can create shopping lists. They have timers built in the instructions. So if you want to go 5 minutes, you hit that 5 minute in the instruction, automatically start the timer. All right, I'm ready to shake. Shake, shake. Here we go.
Are we going to get flame?
We are going to get flame. Woo! Happens every time. So we want to, and you'll notice that there is no moisture in this pan. Can you see this? Yes. There's no moisture because the pan is hot. Once that moisture hit the pan, disappeared immediately. It's exactly what you want. So we want to kind of brown them up now for about 5 minutes. Trying not to make noise, but you know me.
You're
I'm
noisy.
grateful and noisy. Now I want you to hear the squeaky.
Ah,
You hear that squeaky noise? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
you actually can. I'm surprised.
that's why I call it squeaky mushrooms.
I like it.
There's a method to my madness. I'm not crazy. All right. So we're going to move ahead with the recipe. So now that I've cooked them about, I don't know, 5 minutes more, I'm going to add, I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit so I don't burn the butter. I'm adding a couple tablespoons of butter. Who doesn't love butter? Continue to saute. That's going to begin building your sauce. A couple minutes. You're going to let them brown in the butter. It's awesome. Adds flavor. Let them go. Any questions? Anybody watching the show for the first time want to say hello? Tell us where you're from. Please do. Be happy to welcome you. Okay. I always use unsalted butter. I'm a control freak. It's a good question. I like the control.
Why unsalted versus salted? And can you speak up a little bit?
There's a couple of reasons. So I like to control the amount of salt in my food. So I can't do that because I don't know how much salt is in the butter. You know, so I know if I throw a couple pinches of salt in there, I know what's going in there. Second thing is, the best cream is used to make unsalted butter, the not so best, the under best, the worse than best. Not saying it's bad. That's used for making
Just not
salt.
the best.
That's used for making salted butter. So I always go for unsalted butter for those two reasons. All right, these are getting nice and brown. At this point, I do want to add some salt. So I'm adding a little flaky salt.
Not the whole container.
This is a different kind of salt, Fleur de Sel. No, this is Malden sea salt. A lot of times it's used for finishing a dish. I'm adding it here. It's got a little sweetness to it. I like it. And it's very flaky. It's a whole different thing. All right. Nice. All right, so now I season it with salt. I'm going to add the garlic. This seems like a little much for what I have here, so I'm not going to add it all. Add it in little bits. Maybe save a third of it because I don't need it. Again, saute it around in this beautiful butter. Now you can smell the butter, the garlic. You want to just do this till it's fragrant. It's not going to take long. Absolutely delicious. Turning it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add some thyme, which I have right here. Thyme goes great with mushrooms. Thank you, Lynn, taking some pictures. That's awesome. All right, going to toss that around, incorporate everything. Yeah, these are looking fantastic. Now, white wine. First, I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice, which apparently I've gotten some herbs in, or is that on the bottom? little lemon juice. You want to add some acid to it. Kind of let that, it's going to pretty much evaporate immediately. This is, again, building your sauce. Butter, herbs, salt, garlic, thyme. I said thyme. Now I'm adding white wine. So I'm going to add the white wine. Fantastic. Now I want to turn the heat up just a little bit. You want this to reduce to almost fully evaporated.
So no flame with the white wine?
Nope. Doesn't have enough alcohol content to flame.
Sandra's really jealous that you're here. And she is not. She says hello. Hi, Sandra. And Dave La Garcia said never too much garlic.
Never. Okay.
Ever.
I'm not even going to go there. You're right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to start the next side dish. Just potatoes. Another pot. So what I've done, I'll tell you right now.
It smells so good in here.
I bought baby Yukons, Yukon Gold potatoes. All right, and I took the time and I actually peeled them. It's like cutting your lawn with a scissor. It takes a long time. So I peeled these little potatoes. Next time I might use bigger potatoes.
Back to the mushrooms for a second.
Yes.
We've got a question from Dylan. He asked why the pan caught on fire.
Because we had hot fat in the form of olive oil. The mushrooms, we were on their mushroom caps, but they were starting to pull water from their own water inside the mushroom cap. So when you shake the pan, that water hits the fat and it flares up and it creates basically a grease fire, but a controlled one, So, yeah, that was it.
And Nielsen asked me to tell him about the, Neelish Ramratan.
Nihilish Ramratan. Say it
Thank
right.
you.
Get it right.
Thank you. I did it at a glance and I screwed it up. So he asked me to tell him about the aroma. So it smells so good.
So close your eyes, Ram, and imagine the smell of garlic and herbs and wine. And yeah, that's what, I don't think you need to know any more than that. So anyway, back to potatoes, sorry. Peeled them. I put them in a pot of water covered with an inch, up an inch above the level of potatoes. I boiled them for about 15-20 minutes till we're fork tender, and I took them out. That's the first step. You can do that ahead of time. It's exactly what I did, what I've done. All right? In this bowl, I have combined parsley and fresh parsley and garlic. I've got it split in half because I'm using it at 2 different stages of the recipe. So I mix that together. I've got olive oil, and I've got lemon because we're going to zest some lemon on here. Lemon and potatoes goes really well. So I'm heating the olive oil in this pan. Again, it looks like a lot of olive oil. I'm not going to use it all. I'll lower the heat a little bit. How's this doing? That's doing great. Just want to get it nice and hot. It is hot.
Kind of like a Greek influence, right?
Yes, exactly, like Greek lemon potatoes.
You are the best
All right.
studio audience.
So I'm going to add these potatoes. Got to get rid of that plastic on my hands. Yes, needs a little more sizzle. And basically, you really want to just move them around. You kind of want to rough them up a little bit. They get a little texture on the surface, which is really cool. So I'm going to just let them go. I want them to brown really nicely. These are almost done. I want you to see that the liquid is pretty much gone. Gorgeous. So the sauce isn't really a sauce that you're going to spoon on. It's really like just a coating, It's butter, garlic, all those great things. So right when this is done, actually, I'm going to take some fresh parsley. I'm going to sprinkle it on. You want to mix them in. And this dish is done.
I'm going to bring that in close again.
Yep.
Preference on white wine?
No, you're asking the wrong guy.
Dry.
But yeah, typically when I cook, I want to use a dry white wine, nothing too sweet. Alright, so you can see potatoes are starting to get a little bit of color. Perfect.
And tonight is Sauvignon Blanc, and I typically stay away from the Pinot Grigio because it's a little bit too light. So I'll do, just from the flavor perspective, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, kind of your typical one.
So these mushrooms are done. I want you to see this.
Yes. They are beautiful.
Alright. Really? That one's got some suction going on.
And Larry Rose said, what time is the roast going to be ready?
The roast is ready. In the oven.
Because
Completely done.
the magic of TV. We
Yeah,
cooked it
the
earlier.
magic of television. Mushrooms are done. Alright, so I'm going to kind of beat these up a little bit with my wooden spoon.
You got Ram, he's salivating over there.
Nice.
And Kathy Balsamo loves this. And
Awesome.
Nino's asking what time dinner is.
Anytime you walk through that door, Al, that's what time dinner is.
Nino.
Oh,
not
Nino.
Al.
You too, pal.
So
All right.
Nino has a better chance of actually making it.
I have a friend who calls himself El Nino, so I'm like confusing you two. So that parsley and garlic mixture, I'm going to put half of it in now. The potatoes have taken on some color. I am going to kind of fast forward this recipe a little bit.
I'm going to zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, zoom in. Look at that. So parsley potatoes, it's like been popular since like the 1950s. It's crazy. It's a kind of a newer, elevated version. Stir it around. And I'm going to add that flaky salt a little bit because potatoes need a lot of salt. I did salt the water when I cooked them though, so they did absorb some salt. Nice, they're looking delicious. Get that mix in. Alright. Okay. Now again, so now we've got the potatoes, they've gotten some color on them, and what we want to do is build a sauce, just like the last recipe. Add some butter. Right? Don't be afraid of butter, people. You know?
I love butter.
Me too. Add the butter. Okay, the butter is melted. You're basically making the sauce. Butter's mixing with the starch, with the salt, with the parsley, with the garlic. The rest of the parsley and garlic's going in. Alright.
Looks like we also have Kira with us tonight.
Hi, Kira. One thing I don't have is a dessert.
Mentioned because Kira makes such
Kira is such an
wonderful
amazing baker. Alright, so we've got our potatoes done. Last step, I'm turning the fire off. We want to zest the lemon fresh while it's still hot so it picks up the essential oils of the lemon. Yeah, this is going to be really good, this one. And then we're going to get to slicing our roast, the moment of truth. You know, what will become of our fair hero? Has he overcooked the roast?
Petey said he's not afraid of butter.
We shall see. Who?
Petey.
Petey?
Yeah.
Petey D?
Yep. And Carson Header agreed wholeheartedly on using unsalted butter to control the salt content. Always do when I bake.
All right, here we go, guys. Lemon, garlic, butter, parsley. Oh, thank you, Chris. And you can see by stirring it with the wooden spoon, you beat them up just a little bit. It gets some texture, and that holds on to the sauce. So that's exactly what you want.
It smells.
And it brings out the starch of the potatoes. Why haven't I invited you before with all your plethora of knowledge? Potatoes. All right. Oh, I can smell the lemon. Awesome. All right, we're going to go back to the cutting board now.
All right.
We are going to
Cut.
That could not be bad. All right. Let's see what I got here. Star of the show. Woo! All right.
You know, so he's just got
This is
done-
when you
done-
say a little prayer.
He said he just got finished eating and now he's hungry again. He also recommended maybe trying a Jack Daniels ribeye.
Now who?
Jack Daniels dry aged ribeye.
Nice.
Or actually,
Alright.
it's Jack Daniels ribeye.
So, it's hard.
I'm a little nervous.
The salt takes on a little bit of color. No big deal. We're gonna, I'm gonna take a paring knife. See if I can do this without having to break out the, hammer.
Chris,
So I can
Chris
see-
Baker says drool.
I can see that I can feel there's a void, you know, in here. So, this should be pretty easy. I'm just gonna cut all the way around it. And hope for the best.
And
Ooh,
Ted's asking, are you going to invite people again to watch?
of course.
So, our studio audience.
Oh yeah, baby. Here we go.
Alright, so do you want to zoom in for this, babe?
Sure.
We are zooming in.
Like a salt hat.
Alright,
All right, guys.
we are in.
Oh. Woo!
Gorgeous.
Mmm.
Nice.
This goes in the garbage.
Bye.
And you know, typically it says to like brush off any extra salt, but I honestly don't really see much. All right.
Alright,
The cutting board.
So, we're,
Yep. You'll have to zoom back in on the cutting board.
I'm going to just zoom out just a little bit on you.
It's quite firm. A little
And
nervous.
Ephraim just mentioned that if you have a shop right near you, they have bone-in ribeyes going on sale on Friday next week.
Yes.
Friday
Good
and
point,
on
Ephraim. This time of year, bone-in ribeyes go on sale. I mean, I know they had it for $4.77 a pound for choice, and I think
Crazy.
$5 or $6.77 a pound for prime. So yeah, now 'tis the season. All right, this is looking really good. I can smell the dry aged flavor. I'm going to see, and I want to give you a little warning. It's not going to be a bright red necessarily like an unaged ribeye. When you dry age, moisture comes out. The color becomes a darker mahogany color. So it's not going to be, you know, that what you might be used to when you see me cut this open. Either that or I overcooked it. No,
But we'll never tell.
we will never tell. All right, so
Well, the temperature went to
we're gonna
what?
shut it off.
The temperature was set to what on the instant?
Well, I went for 118, and because so I had to do a lower temperature than normal because it's dry aged. Then you're in a salt crust, aka clay oven, that holds the temperature. So the carryover cooking gets it to a higher temperature. So, like I said, this may very well be more than I would like it, but too bad. Let's see.
And Chris DeCourcy says that looks killer.
All right, so we're gonna go with a nice.
Nice carving knife.
Thank you.
Oh no, that is not gray. That is not gray.
I'm going to zoom in just for the effect.
Oh my goodness.
I'm,
Here's the big reveal.
I'm coming in. All right, we are there.
Ta-da.
Woo!
Woo! All right, thank you.
That's
That's perfect.
perfect.
Very high.
Oh, the stereo, like, it was bad because he kept,
For all of you out there, it smells amazing. It smells as good as it looks. Everything.
Awesome.
yeah, it was horrible to watch when the temperature, after he took it out of the oven, kept going up further and further. We're like, all right, well.
You know, with see, dry aged beef cooks quicker, so I'm watching the internal temperature rise. Like every 3 minutes, I look at it, and it's up 2 more degrees. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's scary.
wow.
Ted asked if you can salt crust a wet aged beef
You can salt crust wet aged,
and fish and
yeah,
other stuff too.
whatever. And like I
So-
said, pears and fish works really well.
Ice cream.
All right,
Ice cream, yes.
so
That's
Can't,
perfect.
can't forget the ice cream. This looks absolutely beautiful.
I
Are
learned
you
it
zoomed in on that, honey?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oops.
Woo!
Zoom away.
So yeah, let's. I'm gonna cut into an end piece right now because
That's
Stay-
a chef's cut.
that's what I do.
It is.
Should we plate? Should we plate at the counter?
I can bring you plates if you wish.
Let's see. I'm gonna go to the end cut. This little piece on the end. We're gonna cut into.
J
this.
Judge,
Oh
bravo.
my gosh, it looks
James Bratek,
Amazing.
yum.
Cutting it with a butter knife. There's that
Isaac
spinalis.
Ramirez, hello from Oklahoma.
amazing.
Awesome.
It really is.
Yeah, let's see. I'm really doing a salt check. And
What do you think?
what's really cool, this roast needs salt. So although I cooked it in 5 pounds of salt,
It doesn't permeate.
it needs a little bit, for my taste preference. But here, let me feed the camera woman because she works so hard. It's a thankless job. That's the spinalis on the end cut. That might be. All right,
You want to feed your guests?
sure.
Give them a quick
Eventually,
taste.
We'll get there.
No, so give them a quick taste before we wrap it up.
I'm going to cut into little pieces here.
Oh my god, that's so good. You know what, like you just stop by Gary's to drop by and bring him some. Sorry.
Well, don't you close at 6 o'clock?
Guess not.
So we did a great cheese board tonight, and all the cheeses came from Gary's
One.
in Bernardsville. It's awesome. Nino's a great cheesemonger. Go see him. He knows what he's talking about. He'll take good care of you. All right.
Sis Chris Sikorsky, as usual, you nailed it. Chris Baker, holy cow. Larry Rhodes, you nailed it, chef. Perfect. And guys, he really did nail it.
Well, that's the end piece, So, but you see what I mean? It could use a little salt for me.
Yeah,
Right.
it could use a little more salt.
Yeah, so you get that fancy
All right.
salt.
So, we're going to go and eat this amazing meal. Wish you were here.
Sorry.
If you're local, you could be. Don't hesitate. If you're swinging through Jersey Wednesday night or not, and you just want to stop in and say hello, I'm always cooking, so there'll definitely be something to eat. So thanks again for joining us. Please invite your friends to join our group, to like my Instagram page, to like and subscribe my YouTube channel. They're all growing. We've just started a couple weeks, so don't look for 10,000 members yet, but all the help you guys can offer in that area would be great. I wish you well. Be well, live well, eat well, be kind, and I'll see you next week. Well, maybe not next week. Maybe on Thursday. Look for my announcement.
Definitely not on Wednesday.
I have a paying gig on Wednesday, so I think I might have to do that. But for my buddies at Barrister Cigars, it's their holiday party,
I know
so
that place.
I'm going to be going there. And needless to say, I will see you on the next show. Thank you so much for your support and your love, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.